which I can't read. And I've got a very big screen, which is a long way away, which I also can't read. So I'm going to have a go at going down the names, but I'm going to struggle a bit. I have to ask Ricky. So let's. I saw Allegra first of all, so let's start with Allegra.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everyone. I'm Allegra Lynch, and I'm the Chief Exec of Camden Carers Centre. Kevin, would it help you if we named the next person to introduce themselves?
That would be great. So
Alex, on the screen, you're sitting next to me, so I'm going to suggest you. Cheers.
Is that me, Alex? Or yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Alex. I work at Voluntary in Camden, and I'm the IT and digital manager there. I'll be talking to you about the website a little bit later on. Thank you.
You need to nominate someone to introduce themselves.
Jan is next up. Jan Morgan.
Okay, that's me. Hello. I'm delighted to be here. I'm working with a community group in North London in Highgate, the Highgate Society, where we've got a hall that we let out, and we also do events. So I'm looking forward to this talk. And I nominate Shelley Khan.
Oh gosh, sorry. Hi, I was trying to unmute myself. So I'm Shelley Khan, and I'm the Engagement and Partnerships Lead at Healthcare Camden. And I nominate Nasrin.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Nasrin, and I work with Voluntary Action Camden on the Care Navigation and Social Prescribing Service. I've got Sharon Gordon next to me.
Hello, well, Sharon, I'm the director of West Euston Project. Used to be West Euston Partnership, but we're still WEP, so no confusion there. And it's great to be here and see everybody. And I nominate Zubair.
Sharon, I knew you were going to do that. Hi everyone, I'm Zubair. I work on the Cultural Advocacy Project around mental well-being and wellness, and that's at VAC, and I also work at Camden Council on Community Response Team. And I nominate my new colleague, John. Hi, John.
Hi, I'm John Young, the new communications worker at VAC, and I nominate Robert.
Sorry, I was on mute. My name is Robert Taylor, and I manage Camden Federation of Private Tenants. We're based in Malden Road up in Kentish Town, and I nominate Diane.
Hello everyone, I'm Diane and I work for VAC. I deliver the BAME safeguarding project for all our community voluntary groups and supplementary schools. I would like to nominate Kath.
Hi, I work for Seen and Heard. We are a charity that works with children in Somerstown using playwriting as a mentoring tool, and we've just moved into a new building in Charlton Street. And I nominate Farah.
Thanks, Kath. Hi everyone, Farah here from Life After Homeless Community Benefit Society, and we're based in Somerstown. And who's left? It's hard because the names are skipping. Rosie?
Hi, thanks, Farah. I'm Rosie from the Community Partnership team at Camden Council, and I'm here with some of our new colleagues. We've just managed to get on the big TV screen, so I'm just going to disconnect and then talk to you through the screen, because I'm sure you're getting loads of echo. Can you hear us okay from here? Yeah, some nodding. So we've got some new starters in the community partnership team, and it's their first full day with us today. So if we just go round the table and everybody could just say hello.
Sure, I'll start. Hi everyone, my name is Halima Khanum and I'm one of the community partners on the team.
Hi, my name is Jessica Amina and I'm a new senior community partnership officer with Camden Council.
Hello everybody, my name is Sam Rowe, I'm to Camden Council and I'm a senior community partner.
And Ayaz Saraf, senior community partner as well.
Thank you. And I think everyone has been nominated, but we joined a little bit late, so I didn't see whether anyone has been missed, apart from maybe Benaifa.
Hi everyone, I'm Benaifa Bandari. I'm the new chair of Voluntary Action Camden, and I'm joining you from my offices, whereas I was hoping to be at the Greenwood Centre, but life's got in the way. So here I am. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Great, we're really happy that you're here, Benaifa, and really happy that you are our new chair. Now, just before we go to Benaifa, let me just check, did we get everyone? Has everyone had a chance to introduce themselves? I'm looking at Ricky. Is anyone waving at me? Well,
Kevin, I just introduced myself. Maybe my name is Momota from Henna Asian Women's People.
Great, welcome.
Is it okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
One of the new challenges of the blended meeting is that the screen is a long way away from me, so I can't, you have to really wave or I'm going to miss you. But great, okay, well, good to hear all those introductions and nice to see a good group of people today. Now, as I said, we're mainly introducing Benaifa to you and then talking about our new brand and website. So without further ado, let me hand over to Benaifa. So welcome, Benaifa, as our new chair and to this forum. So the floor is all yours.
Amazing, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, team. I'm so thrilled to have been appointed as chair, and the thing that touched me the most was the process. It was such an open and such a thorough process in picking the chair that it made me think this was an organization very much worthwhile being a part of. So I'm utterly delighted to be here. I come with over 21 years of experience in the charity sector, and so having the insights I've had in the last 2 months, especially with Kevin, we've been meeting very regularly to understand the nuances between being part of a charity and being part of a CVS. It's been a steep learning curve, and perhaps now more than ever, though I guess everyone always says that, it feels like organizations like Voluntary Action Camden are needed and are needed to be supported and are needed to be championed by everybody. And so I'm so happy to be one of those people. Some of the skills I'm bringing, I'm obsessed with governance. I'm chair of Global Generation and CEO of Hopscotch Women's Centre, where I work very closely with our own board in trying to tighten up governance, because governance is a tricky thing, you know, you never get on top of it, you're always striving to be better, and that's one of the things I've already started working on with the board and with key staff members. With VAC, I'm really looking forward to hearing about the rebranding later today. I think that IT, marketing, branding, you know, these are the ways, these are easy wins to elevate our work. We at Hopscotch have just been through this process, so I really understand how key this is, and I've had a glimpse of what you're going to see later, and it's pretty exciting. At Hopscotch, what we had to do in the last year is to really refocus on our vision, mission, and strategic aims. And I think with Voluntary Action Camden, this is something that the organisation has done very, very well. And from any direction, when you look at the organisation through its varied work, the team, the staff, they live the core values. For me, the most important thing about being chair is really working with colleagues and stakeholders so that whatever we do strategically with the board is in combination, in consultation with all of those who care and all of those who matter, so that together we build a stronger charity. Having said that, VAC is super strong, and one of the reasons that is because it's had a leader with the most incredible amount of knowledge around infrastructure work. Kevin brings years of deep understanding of what other organizations need to be successful, and I think that VAC has been so lucky to have him. So I just can't wait. I can't wait to do more. There are 2,000 charities and projects in Camden alone, and to know that VAC has a connection with so many of them is the upliftment and the drive I need to keep going with my work with VAC. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks for that, Benaifa. Now what I want to do is throw it open to the floor, and really I think Benaifa's going to have a go at any questions you've got for her. So anything at all that you'd like to know about the board and VAC, etc. Now is a good time. I'm learning quite a bit with this blended meeting thing. One of the things I've learned is that I can't read the clock from here. So Ricky, you're going to have to give me some time cues because I have no idea what the time is. And I'm also learning that the screen's a long way away. So if people have a question, really wave at me. Allegra, I can see your hand waving.
Thanks, and Benaifa, it's just absolutely really brilliant to have you leading VAC. I just think it's wonderful, and you know, I've been thinking myself a lot about governance in the last few years, and particularly in the last few months, and I'm really keen if you're doing anything to support you with that work, because I think the better governance we have across all our organisations in Camden, the stronger we will all be. Just out of curiosity, I don't expect you to know this off the top of your heart, although Kevin might. How many of those 2,000 organisations, charities across Camden are actually members of VAC? And is there anything we can do to support others to become members if they're not?
Shall I answer that?
Please, Kevin.
We have a dashboard and keep a running total. So it's about 281 at the moment. There are about 1,800 subscribers to the newsletter and the information, but in terms of full actual members, it's 280. It's an interesting question. I know the board are thinking about this. So Benaifa might want to say something about that. We've certainly benchmarked ourselves to other CDSs and membership organisations. So I think it's fairly typical not, to have a chunk of the organisations in membership. Not many have a higher percentage than us, but of course everyone would like to have 100%. But anyway, sorry, I've answered the question for Benaifa. I'm sure the board are talking a lot about membership.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the last year, I know that it's a focus, it's a strategic goal for the board, which is fantastic. So it's on the table and something that we're all working towards. But what touches me the most, Allegra, is the fact that, yes, there may only be 280 odd who are members, but actually the team at BAC are working with a lot more community members than that. They have an understanding of the breadth of services and where one needs to go for what, who is struggling, who is doing well. So it's the two things. It's getting the official numbers up, and it's really recognizing and honoring what that actual reach is.
Yes, and I think there's been interesting debate because we don't, of course, restrict any services. So there's nothing that is restricted to members only. So from a sort of transactional point of view, there's no particular benefit. You will still get all of our services as a non-member. But of course, we want to, emphasize the sort of mutual endeavour and solidarity that comes from showing membership. So that's part of the debate as well. Shelley, I can see your hand as well.
Yeah, hi, thank you. And again, welcome, Benefa. And it's really great to see a strong woman who represents the diversity of Camden to be chair of that. So there. The question or comment I had was, what does the next 6 months look like for that as the new chair, and what do you see as perhaps maybe some of the key challenges?
That's a great question. The board by and large is new. So in the next 6 months, we're really getting to know each other. We're having lots of one-to-ones outside of board meetings to discover each other's strengths. We're looking at a subgroup way of working so that people can play to, well, not just their expertise, but their passion. You know, people join boards because they're passionate about an area, and matching those up with staff so that staff feel really well supported by their trustee subgroup member. So we're doing a lot of work around that at the moment, and then matching all of that up with the work that was done over the last year by the operational team and the board to look at the 3 strategic areas for VAC to grow within. So these first 6 months for me are it's all about relational work. We're trying to figure out the best fit for everyone, especially for the team in the office. I mean, everyone here knows what the last 18 months has meant, working remotely, working hybrid, like for me, working in the office every day, but still so many challenges. So taking a breath, regrouping, and then figuring out what does it mean now, coming to the last quarter of 2021, to be an infrastructure organization anywhere, let alone in Camden. The fact, Shelley, that already we know that the great work is being done on a day-to-day basis, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Where are the gaps and where's the room for growth? That's all coming with that sort of relational work that is happening. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Ricky?
Robert with a hand up.
Oh, Robert. Okay.
Yeah, it was just about going back to the number of charities in Camden. I mean, that sounds like a very large number. I think for me, what would be useful would be some kind of breakdown of that, because if 500 of those charities are based in Camden, but they don't do any work in Camden, then obviously for me, they're not going to want to join Voluntary Action Camden, because that's not, they're just geographically kind of based here. So, you know, I think to understand that sort of figure more, it would be good. I did seem to think there was once a breakdown of that kind of figure. It would just be very useful just to get a sense of, you know, are they large charities, small charities, you know, just some kind of understanding. Because I think for me, if you're going to try and get people to join something, you have to kind of understand who you're actually trying to get to sort of join, and obviously who you're not going to try and get to join because they're just geographically based here, but they don't actually do anything in the borough. But I think for me, I think the main focus or function of an organisation like Voluntary Action Camden in these kind of times is to give the voluntary sector a collective voice in the borough, because there's so many issues that we all face at the moment. We might be very different organisations, but I think we've got a lot of similarities in terms of the pressures that we face. And I think in these days, it's good to have a kind of coherent voice when it comes to dealing with the council and kind of other bodies as well. And I think, you know, there's so many organizations out there. It's just, you know, just trying to understand what everybody kind of does, just from a kind of working together point of view, which I think for me comes back down to that understanding who those 2 sort of 1,000 kind of charities are. So as I say, I think for me, one of the key roles going forward of a body like Voluntary Action Camden is to give a collective voice to the sector in the borough, because, you know, together we're much stronger than we are kind of apart or whatever. And I think that message holds strong now as it's kind of ever done, probably more so than ever before, I think.
Let me answer some of that, and then Kevin, please do jump in. The last time I looked, the majority of those 2,000 organizations were small to medium-sized community projects, but there's definitely potential there for us to do a more thorough breakdown. And in terms of VAC representing the charities in Camden, we are. VAC is doing a lot of background work, which you know, like for example, at the moment with the refugee crisis, VAC were leading the way in bringing the other organizations together. The first group meeting that was had was chaired by VAC and by Kevin. The work between VAC and the council has really strengthened in recent times, and I think that this crisis is a demonstration of that. VAC is on the steering group for the key organizations supporting the Afghan refugees. And that's just one of the areas in which I know that Kevin and the team have been working with the council on issues that we as individual organizations may not realize that is happening, but it's often referred to in the newsletter, and perhaps sometimes we skim those bits. I don't know if you had anything to add to that, Kevin.
Yes, I mean, certainly I think the collective voice thing is really important. Absolutely, Robert. I really take your point there, and I think that's the challenge as well is that the strategic things are increasing. So of course, health with all of the integrated care systems developments. It is a challenge to engage with the number of strategic things that are happening. But you know, I think that is really important, and I think that's where the board are having they're having discussions. We talked about membership, but also not just what the members can get out of us, but also how we use them better and how we link with the other infrastructure organizations better, because, you know, if we can coordinate our strategic involvement, then we can spread ourselves around maybe a little bit more effectively. And you know, and everyone is involved in different things. You know, Allegra is involved in strategic discussion. Sharon's involved. So if we can find a way to share and pool how we engage, and of course, you know, I think VAC will have a key role to do that. But it is a challenge that at the moment there just seems to be an awful lot happening. But I absolutely agree. It's a key role of infrastructure, a key role of VAC and we really need to keep on top of it. In terms of the numbers, Robert, and the profile, absolutely. And again, I know Alex, that that's on her list. The profile we've got, I'm not sure if we carried it over to the new website because it was out of date, but we did have a kind of a short paper that showed how we got to those numbers, how the breakdown worked, what the profile of all those organizations was, because of course they're all on our database, so we know their income and profile, etc. Just a very practical thing, Alex might want to touch on this a bit later, but a really practical thing, Robert, is because the directory is live, I always suggest, especially to new council staff, if you are familiar with a ward, then the best thing to do is go to the directory, select that ward, and then hit return, and it will bring up every organization in that ward. And then you can just skim it for yourself and see the kind of variety of organizations that pop up. But yes, hopefully a better profile will be coming. Ricky, can you see any other hands? Is anyone waving?
Mary was a hand emoji.
Mary. Oh, you're on mute, Mary.
Yeah, sorry, I was late. One thing I'm curious about, my husband and I are involved with some sort of activist organisations like Transition Kentish Town, Think and Do Camden, Camden Forest, and there doesn't seem to be any connection with Voluntary Action Camden. It seemed to be directly sponsored by the council. So I just wondered what the history of that is. And I keep sort of looking at the newsletter and saying to Kevin, why isn't this newsletter, which we've been working on, featured in your in your newsletter? But it's not just that. They don't seem to sort of connect with other voluntary organisations. They seem to be a different kind of beastie. Any ideas on that?
So I think this is an interesting point, Mary, that the sector is, I mean, my sort of, if you'll excuse the language, but my smart ass academics friends will say there is no sector. And we're used to a particular group that solidifies, maybe we come from we're all sort of involved and thinking about social justice and community and equality, and certain values hold us all together. But there are, Mary, an awful lot of organizations, when you want to call them, voluntary sector or third sector, whatever you want to call them, who just want to sort of hoe their own row. And there are whole sectors that don't particularly engage with others. I mean, and there are exceptions, of course. So we've got Seen and Heard with us today, but many arts organisations don't engage. We have some great sports organisations, and Albert often comes to these from AYVI, but plenty of sports organisations don't engage. So I think it's an interesting question broadly about who engages and who doesn't. And again, it comes back to, I think, the board's discussions around membership. Should we be more proactive in pulling them in? And how far do you go? I mean, trades unions, for instance, are technically in the third sector, but we have not much contact. So I think that it's an interesting one. It's one of capacity. It's one of maybe priority. I mean, I think obviously many of us would think climate change is a priority. So it would be good to be working with those groups like Transition Town. And we do have some links with them, Mary. But it's, yeah, it's an interesting one about who links closely and who is more at a distance, and to what extent do we put our efforts into, how far do we want to try to bring the sector into one thing. And there are many, one feature of the organizer of the sector is that people are quite independent minded, so there will always be some organizations who just want to do their own thing.
Thank you.
Ricky, can you see any other hands up or any other questions?
No, I think that's it. Get one time as well.
Any? No.
I think that's a really good comment, Allegra, about small organizations struggling with time commitment. And so if you've only got a couple of staff, you can't attend every meeting. Totally agree. And that's where I think there's strength in the newsletter, and there's going to be an immense amount of strength with the website, with the new website, to fill some of those gaps that you're inevitably going to have when you're a small organization. So totally hearing you with that. It's not easy, I know.
Great. So just maybe wrapping up, unless we've got some staff on today's forum. I don't know if there are any questions from staff. No. Okay. Okay. So, Kanika, I don't know if you want to have any final thoughts before we move on.
No, I'm really happy to move on and hear some news, Kevin.
Great. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Brian. So before we go to Alex, I just want to say that I'm sure you've all seen in the newsletter that I'm moving on from VAC. The advert is out, so do spread the word. It's a great opportunity. It's a fantastic job, and it would be great to have someone who really knows Camden well and knows the voluntary sector well. I shall be taking a bit of a break and then devoting some more time to my own projects, but I'm not rushing off. I'll be around to give the new person a proper handover, so I'll be here for some time to come.
In the link I've put, in the chat rather, I've put the link for the recruitment. Please can you copy it and share it on your social media? That would be the best way to get the furthest reach. And I also wanted to share a little bit about our process around this. It's been an open process, and we've chosen an organization very specifically for their commitment to a transparent, inclusive and diverse process for recruitment. It's definitely the best I've seen so far. So the first stage is actually a blind sifting process. So the candidates will put in an email address which they can create as an anonymous one, and then they just go ahead and answer 4 basic questions, and then the recruitment company brings us to a long list for the board to take from there. So the process in itself hopefully is going to bring forward candidates without the conditioning and the bias that, as human beings we all carry. So please do share that link, and I'm really happy to take any questions on the process we're following for this.
Great. Okay. Well, if anyone's got any questions on that, do ask them now, or you can always put it in the chat, or you might email us later. Ricky, do shout if you see any hands or anything. But if not, then I will move on to the next session. The next section, I should say, of today, which is Alex is going to introduce our new website. Ricky, remind me, what's the time?
It's 20 till 12.
Right. Okay, Alex. So I think you've got good 15 minutes. So over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. I don't know if I'll keep everyone that long showing our website, but I'll just give you a, just before we sort of show it off, just a very brief background of how we kind of got to this point, essentially. So I'd say somewhere between the last 12 and 18 months, VOC's sort of been through a bit of a deep dive reflection into itself, looking about you know, what our role is within the community, how we communicate with our members, and thinking about how you know, our key messages kind of reach you, and we raise awareness about the work that we're doing and the work that you're doing within the sector as well. We did a lot of work in sort of gathering user research, so going out to members, talking to our strategic partners and the council and NHS and other funders and other areas to kind of get a better understanding of what people thought about VOC, and identify, I guess, where some of the gaps were in what we think we're doing and what we think we're saying over what we're hearing back from all of you. And the encouraging thing was that, generally speaking, everybody thought VOC was, you know, doing a really good job, was an important organisation to have in the borough, but that we weren't always clear about what our role was or what we were doing and how we're working with and for the sector. So to cut a long story short, we have undergone a whole period of kind of rebranding a little bit to give ourselves a new look and feel, a new visual identity, which I don't know, you'll see it in a minute, so you can tell me, but seems a bit more lively, active and cheerful. And those, I suppose the culmination of where all of this work has sort of ended up is really in presenting some of this in the website, which we'll talk about in a minute. Obviously, we've got other communication channels, and that's not the only way in which we can talk about our work with you. And thankfully, we've got my wonderful colleague, John, who's recently joined VOC, and part of his role over the next few months, of course, is about embedding our strategy around communication and marketing, and really kind of getting the key information out there, pulling stuff together from the sector. And you know, there's a role for that within the website, there's a role for social media, there's a role for meetings like this and so on. But so anyway, that's enough of the background. I will try and share the screen. It's disabled, Kevin.
Ricky, do your stuff.
Still disabled. The joys of blended meetings, I guess.
Should work now.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, wow, here we are. So I should probably say that this is kind of a bit of a soft launch as well. So anybody that's been through the process of redesigning websites or digital kind of transformation projects will know that there's a big element of that to do with user research and user testing. And so, as I said at the beginning, we've gone out with our members from different sort of sides of the coin to try and present the information here in a clearer and a more attractive way. And of course, we will be over the next sort of few weeks really looking for feedback from from those visiting the website and elsewhere, just to let us know, is it ticking the box, or how can we improve things? And I think that's a continual process. But this is the homepage, and this is the new logo, which it took us quite a while to all agree on that, but I think everybody's quite happy with how it looks now. There's a little tie-in. Don't know if anyone's familiar with the NAVCA logo. Of course, VAC is a CVS, and that's our umbrella body, NAVCA. So there's a little kind of nod to the membership within NAVCA in there. And we've just refreshed our whole kind of colour palettes, and I hope it sort of looks a bit more bright and cheerful than the last one. Many of you might not be aware, but we do have a sister site called One Camden as well, and that's the sort of portal into the voluntary sector. That's again something, the relationship between those two sites hasn't necessarily been clear. There's still a lot more work to do on that, but we're making some efforts to kind of tie these things together so it's clear what we're doing and who we are. And yeah, some of the key messaging, which we had a workshop with a pro bono consultancy firm, communication specialist around that, which resulted in a lot of messaging which we should be promoting about who we are. Hopefully that has kind of been embedded within the content of the website. But as you come to the homepage, we've kind of divided that up between the sort of help that we can provide for residents, and then of course our bread and butter is really working within the voluntary sector directly. So we've got these big bold headings that sort of set out these three key areas of our work. Internally, I suppose we sort of refer to that as developing, connecting and influencing. And that really manifests in how we work with you around setting up and developing your organization, the sort of networking and connection element of that, like today, and this whole thing around voice and influence here, and how we're making our work around that a little bit clearer as well. We've got things like news, our Twitter accounts feeding in over here. We're trying to sort of promote the directories that we've got a little bit more clearly, and I'll give you a sneaky peek of some of that in a minute as well. And then yeah, we've got some of the key things that we're doing and wanting to promote down at the bottom. And one of the things that we've actually done on this website is develop a whole load of guides, and those are for organizations which are sort of thinking about setting up but need a little bit of extra information around that. And you'll see there's all sorts of guides around business planning, GDPR, governance and so on. And of course we'll continue to update those as we get more any updates that need to be picked up. So we've got an about section, so that sort of looks at our history, who our team is, trustees, annual reports, and some of the case studies around impact of our work. We've also got a little bit of a project archive here, which is just really sort of looking back over some of the work that we've done over the last few years. And I think that's quite interesting sometimes because of the breadth of what VAC is involved in. And then there's a whole section now for news. So we've got our newsletter will be uploaded on here. We're doing a little bit around improving how our training and events look as well. So we've got calendar that you can book on directly. We've got uploads of our previous workshops. I don't know if any of you have been on the IT workshops lately, but all of the videos and so on, and learning resources that we develop for our events, as well as the forums and some of the social prescribing work, as well as safeguarding podcasts and so on, is all there as well. In the services menu, we've kind of tried to make this a little bit more obvious about the range of what we're doing. And I hope, I'm not sure if anyone has noticed, but we sort of picked up on some of the Camden street art, which I hope you all like and sort of adds a little bit of brightness to the website. We're trying to make it easier for you to get in contact with the right people, no matter where you are on the website. And there's quite a lot of work that's gone into this whole section around membership and networking. This, I would say that this is kind of a work in progress at the moment. So as it stands, it's just sort of listing really what the benefits are for membership. But I think the longer term ambition for this, and thinking about the voice side of things as well, is to kind of bring in a little bit more of the learning and the intelligence and sharing elements of what's going on in the sector, and kind of bringing that all together. So yeah, we've got things on there around the forums and networks that we're involved with directly, and then there's a link over here to some of our strategic projects, which is quite possibly an area, I think, of our work which is less clear, or less known within the sector. But there's a lot of work that goes on in that kind of strategic policy space, particularly around health, environment and space. And so we're trying to be a little bit more open about what we're doing in those areas as well. And yeah, just to kind of pick up on, I think, Robert, you were talking about the directory and kind of profile of members and stuff. So although we haven't quite got there yet, this is sort of like, as I said, it was a bit of a first iteration of the website, but we have a very comprehensive database of information that we're kind of collecting about our work and activities. And I think there's a real opportunity to be able to open up some of that data that we're collecting, and make it clearer about what VAC is doing and how we're doing it, but also where there's data that might be relevant for you to use or share or feed into as well. I think one of the complications we have around that is, obviously development in that kind of sense can cost money. And so we're sort of a little bit limited sometimes around what we can do with the funds that we've got. But having said that, this is the new directory app that we'll be launching fairly soon. The development of this has kind of picked up on some of the user research that we did in the website around what people are coming to the website for. And you'll see that we've got these three sort of key directories at the moment. But I think where we would like to take this, and I think that's again where we'll be doing more research with the users and with the members, is what of this would you like to have more of, or how, what are the different ways that we can present the information to you to make it easy for you to kind of connect and work out who's doing what within the borough. And yeah, there's also quite a lot for us internally. There's an opportunity with this particular directory to kind of really learn a little bit more about what users might be searching for. There's a whole back end to this directory, which is a bit kind of clever than what we've got at the moment. So it can pick up search terms and keywords, and obviously we can use all of that to kind of inform what the needs are, or what people are searching for when they're looking for groups in Camden. So Kevin, I don't know if you want me to cover anything else, or if that's it in a nutshell, really, but that is the new website. It's launched, it's live. There's probably some things that have broken somewhere between the old site and the new, so we'll try and pick up on many of those things as we can. But if you can't find anything, or you're not sure where it's gone from the old site, hopefully you can find it on the new site, because that was part of the point. But just let us know, and yeah, we'll get that updated for you. And any feedback that you've got as you come to use it would be enormously helpful, just to work out if we've done a good job or not. So,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks, Alex. So I'll take some questions, and I think, as Alex said, we will be doing, we'll be collecting feedback anyway. I don't know, Ricky, if you can just have a look through the chat, see if there are any.
Shelley, I can see.
Shelley's got a question. So.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. First of all, congratulations. It absolutely looks brilliant from the previous one. So what a great first iteration. Just a comment really, and obviously it depends on finances. Are you going to make the website available in other languages so that it people whose first language might not be English might be able to just select a language and read it in their own mother tongue?
That's a very good question. It's not something that we've had the resource to do at the moment, but it's definitely kind of on the roadmap of things that we can look at as how we improve that in future. Some of the key material that does go out, I think some of the safeguarding work has sort of put that into different languages, but again, I think we have to look at, where technology could potentially help with that sort of thing, because there's certainly not capacity within VOC to kind of translate into whatever language might be needed. But no, it's a really good point, and something that we'll look into further.
Great. I say because I know certainly within some of the health sectors, the website is formulated in a way so you can select any language, and what it does, it's actually cost effective in long term because you don't then need to translate into any other languages. So that just serves that purpose and also gets rid of any paper wastage, etc. It's just constant. I don't think it costs a lot either. And anyway, I leave it there, something for you to think about.
Yeah, and no, absolutely. And if there are tools that do that job for you, then we'd be absolutely interested to hear if anyone's got any experience of using those as well. So do send any links if you've got them. I should just say as well, I see Sharon's on the call, and Sharon actually gave us the contact for the web designers. Sharon, so thanks for that. It's been great working with Tom and Bianca. Robert, is your hand up?
Doesn't Google Translate work in that way? I'm sure we've got that connected to our website where it does it. I don't know how good it is I know some of these translation services can be a bit hit and miss, but that seems to be a free one. And my question is actually about guides. I mean, it strikes me from the meeting today, it might be useful to have a guide about organising hybrid meetings. I can't see anything on the website, because I think this is a point that probably everybody now is kind of reaching, where they're trying to do both online and traditional formats together. I see that Kevin has kind of a 2-camera kind of setup wherever he may be. So it would be useful, I think, to have some practical guidance on how to organize hybrid meetings, as I think that's probably going to be the way forward, whether COVID remains with us or kind of goes away.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. We need to get the experience, and then so yes, today is a first. So as soon as we've got some useful information, I absolutely take your point, and we'll start spreading the knowledge around of how to do it. And today I guess is the start.
Yeah, I mean, just on that, Kevin, maybe that's something we can try and get a workshop on. I know we've got some help with Google and so on, just to kind of help, because I wouldn't say that anybody, I work at another organization and we're having troubles with hybrid meetings as well. I don't know that anyone's quite mastered it just yet. So if we could get some.
That's a good point mentioning Google, because we have this Google grant scheme, which is for small organizations to pay for space in community centers. But the other part of that, and the bit that Google was particularly interested in, is offering their expertise in how to make your meetings blended. So that, again, that's been at early stages, because small groups have only just started really going back in. So it's all at an early stage, Robert, but absolutely it's a priority for us to gather that information and then disseminate it. How are we doing for time, Ricky?
A minute over, but
I'm a minute over. Oh dear. Okay, sorry. It sounds like we should draw things to a conclusion then. Thanks very much, Vanitha and Alex, and thanks to all of you for coming. We will get the recording up on the website as soon as possible. And any resources and comments and things that have been mentioned in the chat as well, we will put up. So, yeah, let me bring things to a conclusion. Thank you all for coming and look forward to seeing you at the next forum, if not beforehand. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kevin. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. It was lovely meeting everyone. Bye-bye.
Well done, everyone. Alex, well done, especially well done.